You know, many times people say, in an interpretive program, what's last should be the best. Well, this is Tilden's last principle. And maybe this is the best. For what he states right here, interpretation addressed to children, say up to the age of 12, should not be a dilution of the presentation to adults, but should follow a fundamentally different approach. To be at its best, it will require a separate program. And that's not easy, because when dealing with children, I like to use techniques that deal with the 5 senses. And those 5 senses, I will use an interpretive technique, which is sort of making you thirsty to know what they are. Well, let's learn them together. What are they? Touch. Extremely important with children. They like to touch things. What else? Smell. And you know what? That can be used. One of them is taste. Now hold on. We've got to be careful about handing food or wild plants to young people. We know it's there, and we can allude to it by saying, if we were allowed to chew on this, this is the kind of taste you would receive. Now, what else? Sight is very important. And the last one is, what did you say? Hearing. And you bring them together with children, and now things start to come alive. And you can do that while taking them out on a walk. You can say, now here we are on the towpath of the canal. And this canal used to run from all the way up at Cumberland, Maryland, all the way down to Georgetown. And guess what? That's called the C&O, Chesapeake and Ohio Canal. But listen, folks, if I don't have something visually to show these children about the canal, they'll never get it. They won't understand. So I'm going to show you some examples of how you can make that canal come alive visually. And the other thing you can do is, do you smell what I smell in the air? Smells like they're preparing for, I think it's dinner they're working on. Hey, look there. There's a boatman's choice stove. And the smoke's going up the air. And there's the boatman while he's steering the boat, preparing lunch. Ah, there's one. And what else? What do you see? Look over there. There's the mule tender. What's he working with? 3 big mules. And they're all harnessed together. There's another way to add the story to the canal in order for it to come alive. You can quote. Another thing you can do is, we were 49 miles from Albany, forget it I never shall. What a terrible time we had that night on the Erie Canal. You can add folk music. You can interpret through the words of the song. And you can also have the kids later on sing along on the chorus. It's a great way to do it. And then say to them, what do you think those words meant? The Erie was a-rising, and the gin was a-getting low. And I scarcely think we're going to take a little drink till we get to Buffalo. Well, what they're referring to in the song is the drink is going to be the floodwaters are coming up, and we're going to be drinking floodwater if we don't get moving quickly. See, those are some of the tips, and I'll be talking about more of them a little bit later. Okay, one of the techniques you can use with children is you can, if you're lucky enough or you have someone like I did. My dad was a art professor and he wanted to help me, and so he built this for me. And he's gone now, but guess what? Just like the tools that you will have in your hands to tell the story, they were held by those who actually operated the mules on the canal. So they're still here. That's the way I deal with it. And we can learn from them. And so anyhow, this is what is a lock. And what is the purpose of a lock? Well, right here is the boat. And this is a Union Canal boat right here. And the mules, 1, 2, 3, are right there. And the man or boy who's in charge of the mules is called a mule tender. Or he can be known as a hoggy. There's all kinds of terms for him. And usually it's 3 mules. Some canals use 2. Some have tried horses, but it didn't work. Because a mule will give you the maximum amount of energy in pulling canal boats. And that's the beauty of them. Now, how much weight is on some of these boats? It can be 125 ton, 3 mules. As long as they're floating free, the boat in the water. So here we come, and before I get to the lock tender's house, this is what I can do if I'm the boat captain. I gotta let them know I'm coming. Hear ye, Lord. They'll hear that, and they know there's only one guy can do that. And that's Captain Hummel, and that's who I represent. So I let him know I'm coming. So what did the lock tender do? He gets these gates, which are miter gates, gets them open. He allows the water to be at its highest level, and here we go. We're coming in. Now, on the bow, you throw up a line, you pull this off, because the mules ain't, you go in by your own what? By your own energy force that is pushing you in, and you also had a pole here, and that pole can be used to do what? To help push you in. Now, you got to get these gates, and now here is a man who's going to give you a little, you're going to throw him some rope off of the boat, and he's going to put it through this device right here, and he's going to tie the boat fast so that it's not going to rock around while it's sitting in the canal lock. And the other thing it's used is this device right here. And this is called a snubbing post. Oh my God. Creativity. Now sometimes at some locks, this post will be there. Everything's falling apart. And you can tell it's a snubbing post by looking at it and seeing if it has grooves in it when the rope wrapped around the post to help stop the boat. All right, the boat is in. And now what are we going to do? The lock tender is going to open these little gates called wickets in the front gate. And now the water is going to gradually drop this boat down to the bottom. And now we open these gates and we push out, and we are about to have locked through. But we're going to have to take this off because that's a temporary bridge to cross. And here it comes. Here comes the boat, and it goes out, and right as it's coming out, the mule tender lassos up the front, and now he pulls out. And now we're on our way to the next lock. And so a lot of these on the Union Canal, which ran from Reading all the way out to outside of Harrisburg, Middletown, they had about 5-foot drop or lift, and that's what they were. They lifted up to a high portion, and then they dropped down to a lower portion. They're running from the Schuylkill River all the way to the Susquehanna River. And if you remember, in our podcast, we had one talking about the Wrightsville Columbia Bridge and how it burned and how it was used to get boats from one side of the Susquehanna River to the other. Well, now let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Well, here is a wonderful hat. And a lot of people love this hat. And I've used this in many different living history characters because it's found on wagoners and moving products on the good old, during the Civil War, mule skinners, moving what? Supplies for the soldiers. And it's used many places. I even use it when I'm around water and I'm working with my mules, seriously. And I want to give them something to drink. Fill this baby up, take it over to the mule. And then I go like this. And then I put it on and it runs down here and I go, ah, now I'm air conditioned. Works every time. And the public laughs and they think I'm an idiot for doing it. But seriously, they did it too. They don't care if it's got slime in it. Now here's another one. When we talk to children and they don't understand sometimes size. Now I work around a lot of Percheron draft horses and Belgians and all the rest of this. This is a tape. And I'm so glad that someone gave it to me to tell you how tall a mule is. Now, today I was looking at a website, and this guy, he is in charge of what? Big Percherons. And he just won first place at the Ohio State Fair, and you ought to see this horse. 18.2 hands tall. Oh my God. There's 18.2. That means that right here is right below the horse's neck and head. That's the hames. And right there is how you measure a horse for size. You know how much that horse weighs? 1.5 tons. Now try to hook him up to pull wagons during the Civil War. But that, again, is a great visual, even for adults, though I'm not watering it down. I'm adding on to. I don't know if I talked much about this thing. This is what is called a black snake whip. And I guess did I talk about this guy here? Well, all right, then, my little buddy, Snaky. You know, on the towpaths, if you're the mule tender, and a lot of times it was children. Now, you got to be careful if you're going to perchance put this around a child's neck. If his parents are there, or her parents are there, you say, do you mind if I put this around your child's neck? And the parents ask them first. And they'll say, no, we love it. A great picture moment. Okay. Well, I got something else here. I want to know if you're going to allow me to do with your daughter. Yeah, I was wondering if she can wear this on her head. Oh, that'd look so cute. All right. And then I go for the apron and I dress her all up and I have this around her neck. Because if she and women, young children, were mule tenders, both male and female. And that young lady, if that old snaky right here is on the towpath, guess who's not going to move? The mules. They'll put on the brakes. And now you're going to have to get him off. You don't have time to wait him out. So you better be careful. But you give him a crack, the sound might move him. But again, you don't know. And he can go into the brush, and you go by with the mules, out he comes again and hits one of your mules. But this, I don't hand this out to anybody, even adults, unless I know who they are. That's called a black snake whip. Well, what else do we got here? Here's another toy that both male and female would love to play with. Bing! And you know, if the kid's on along the towpath, and here come the mules, and if this kid's got a little bit of evil streak in him, from a distance, he'll eyeball that mule up and bang! And now you got problems. And that kid, if I ever get hold of him, he's going to have problems. See how you act it out? You put some emotion into it. That's another toy. And now, here we go to the ladies. Oh, my God. Many young girls had wonderful, wonderful, wonderful dolls. And they weren't real, you know, fancy dolls like Barbie today. No, 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 no. And this doll had to last forever. And in this case, I'm so glad that his face is black. Because now I'm talking about, what do we say, one of Tilden's principles? The whole. Here's the whole. And white children had black dolls. Black children had white dolls. But at least I'm putting it in their hands. And that's what's good. Many times this is your only friend that's left. And to bring it to a conclusion, I have something here, which it all depends. When I get to the site in advance, I ask, am I allowed to put this in my boot? A lot of boatmen, and I was trained on how to handle mules and horses, had a knife in their boot. Now, why do you have a knife there? To kill someone? No. In case that kid who just popped your mule in the butt and they break loose and head into the canal, guess what? If a mule gets water in his ears, he quits and he'll die. Now, what do I got to do? Get him out of that harness. And I jump in and swim over to him and cut loose the leather traces and get him to the surface. And that mule will never forget me ever again. That's part of it. I don't have it sharp because I'm no fool. And then an adult will come up and go, oh, you don't even have a sharp knife. Sir, do you mind if I educate you a little bit? This ain't for handling. This is for the visual. And it's very authentic, let me tell you. So there are some basic tips. Here we could say how many different canal boats were out there, a ton of them. And most canals had their own type of boat. And this, we could say, is a C&O canal boat, Chesapeake, Ohio. How do you know? It's got a hump like a camel in the middle. All the people got to sleep that are part of the team. If it's family, some of the kids can sleep in here. Guess who's up here? Another team of mules. Because on the C&O, you can boat during the daylight hours and the evening hours. You just keep boating. So you take off your worn out mules and put a new set out. They're fresh. What do you think's in here? Well, some of the kids can sleep in there because that's where the grain is and where the hay is and everything they need. It's in there. And this, my friends, will be your home away from home. You ready to go back to the days of the canal? Well, come on, kids. I'm hiring. What does it pay? $60 a boating season. That's from when the ice comes off the canal till it goes back on. I'll take good care of you. I'll feed you well. I'll take care of all your injuries and when you need medical help. I'm a good captain. I won't take advantage of you. That's as long as you treat me fair.